Jeff Hafley and the Boston College Eagles are coming off of a rough season last year. I mean, this was not a very good team last season, and it's losing some pieces that could really help them turn it around in 2023. However, there is some good talent here, but the bigger question is being talked about Jeff Hafley. Some question why he is still in a job here in Chestnut Hill, but many think that he can save his job this season. Will the Eagles be coach searching next winter, or will Jeff Hafley and company be able to turn it around, maybe make this team an ACC sleeper? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 FBS level college football teams this summer, which means I am doing your favorite team. So hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. Thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. Truly appreciate each and every one of your guys' support. And speaking of support, you can help me support my channel in more ways than just hitting that subscribe button if you're not willing to do so. Well, hey, you're doing one right now by watching the video. You can do more by liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. I always say subscribing instead of sharing. And anything else you're willing and able to do to help support my channel, it would mean a lot to me. Jeff Hafley, the Boston College Eagles, Chestnut Hill. Let's talk about it all in 2023. Hey, how do we do preview predictions around here? We got through a roster overview, look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class, as well as taking a look at the 2023 Eagles football schedule, and we'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. So without further ado, let's talk about Boston College football in 2023. In the quarterback room, you lose quite a name here. Now, dealt with injury problems and some inconsistency issues at the quarterback position, but overall, when he's at his ceiling, definitely could be an NFL-level quarterback. It's Phil Jurkovec. 1,711 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions with almost 60% completion last year. Again, battled through injuries, some inconsistency issues as well. Phil Jurkovec has since transferred on over to Pitt. Now, I know Eagle fans and the people around Chestnut Hill will already know this name, but college football fans, pay attention. Emmett Morehead definitely, I believe, at least, has the pieces to be a breakout candidate quarterback. Now, his numbers may not blow you away at the end of the day. What he did last year doesn't blow you away either. Was sharing time with Jurkovec when he was in and out of injury, but 1,254 yards on 192 attempts, just under 60% completion with 10 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Definitely a good starting point for him. He can turn into a really solid quarterback for this Boston College team. You also do get a transfer in Thomas Castellanos coming over from UCF that if Morehead doesn't fit the bill, Castellanos may step in there among some other names that may play some snaps. The running back room, well, this is a rushing attack that really struggled last year. 2.1 yards per carry, probably one of the worst rushing attacks in the nation last year. However, its two leading rushers do come back. 403 yards, 3 touchdowns for Pat Garwo, and then Alex Broom at 225 yards and a touchdown for him last season. He actually averaged 4.5 yards per carry, did not have a bad season at all, given the amount of carries he had. You also get a transfer in Kai Robichaw, probably pronounced that last name wrong, I apologize. A highly rated 3-star transfer out of Western Kentucky to help boost this rushing attack and hopefully get it at least somewhat stable this season. In the wide receiver room, well, you do lose some very talented weapons here. Zay Flowers, by far the best receiver on this team last year. 1,077 yards and 12 touchdowns on 78 catches. He's off to the NFL. Meanwhile, your second leading receiver in Jalen Gill leaves as well. 388 yards. Sadly, no touchdowns for him last year. Who comes back to this wide receiver room? Well, Joseph Griffin had 234 yards and 5 touchdowns for the team last season. Dino Tomlin and Jaden Williams will be coming back, as well as Ryan O'Keefe, who transfers over from UCF, a highly rated 3-star transfer, again, coming over by way of the UCF Knights. In the tight end room, you do lose Spencer Witter, but George Takis, who was the 3rd leading receiver for this team last year, 256 yards and a touchdown last year, and Jeremiah Franklin both come back to this team. On the offensive line, you do lose Christian Mahogany, Ozzie Trapilo, and Drew Kendall. You return those guys. Apologies, was reading the tight end line, just skipped it. You return Christian Mahogany, Ozzie Trapilo, Drew Kendall, as well as getting some transfers in Kyle Hergel and Logan Taylor that, at least according to ourlads.com, are projected to start for this offensive line, if not be pretty solid backups. My apologies with misreading the offensive line there, but offensively, if Emmett Morehead can be a breakout, if not solid enough quarterback, and the rushing attack can improve, this can be a pretty solid offense for Jeff Hafley. Now, Defensively, there were a lot of issues last year as well, and there's some talent leaving that could have helped them turn things around. On the defensive line, we'll start with Chibueze Onwuka, very, very solid player, 41 tackles. I believe was a top 10 tackler for this team and a sack last year. He is gone, as well as Marcus Valdez, who had 4 sacks last year. I believe that was second on this Eagles team last year. Yes, it was. And then Isaiah Henderson leaving the defensive line as well. However, Donovan Izir Ruaka, probably pronounced that last name wrong. Again, I apologize, but 7.5 sacks, your 4th leading tackler last year. Also did lead your team in sacks. Cam Horsley, Neto Okpala, and Chris Banks are all going to be coming back to this defensive line. So still some solid pieces on the defensive front for this Eagles team. And the linebacking unit, you return pretty much everybody. Your leading tackler in Vinny DePalma, 87 tackles, a sack last year. Cam Arnold had 74 tackles, second on the team, a sack and a half, 2 pass defended, and tied for the team high 2 interceptions last season. Bryce Steele and Jalen Blackwell, some other names that are be coming back in this line backing room. In the defensive back room, you do lose Jaden Woodby, who was a very solid piece of this team, 71 tackles, really good safety, was your 3rd leading tackler, also had a couple pass defended last year. Jason Maitre is going to be leaving this team, 6 pass defended, 42 tackles, a top 10 tackler last year. And Josh DeBerry is gone as well, another top 10 tackler who had 4 pass defended, 50 tackles. You do return, though, Elijah Jones led the team with 13 passes defended, had 2 interceptions last year. Cole Batson and Amari Jackson also come back, as well as a lot of transfers coming into the secondary. Victor Nelson, Alex Washington, Kari Johnson, and I believe some others as well transfer into this program to help boost that secondary. Again, if Moorhead can break out at the quarterback room, that rushing attack can improve, and this defense can fill some of the holes that they have and fix some of the problems they had last year, it's going to be a pretty solid Boston College team. Your head coach is Jeff Hafley, more likely than not on the hot seat. Offensive coordinator Steve Shimko and defensive coordinator Sean Duggan. As we take a look at the Eagles 2023 football schedule, any game at home will be underlined and any game on the road will be in italics or the slanted text. Any game you see highlighted in green, as these first 2 games are right here. I'll explain why in a second. Or a game I see Boston College winning easily. Any game in yellow, or a game where, hey, the other team will fight, will compete, but Boston College will win, and red is a loss. I do have your first 2 games being wins in Chestnut Hill, both of them home games. One against the Northern Illinois Huskies, the team out of the Mid-American Conference. Very solid team out of the Mid-American Conference. I just think Boston College a little too talented as a Power 5 program for that team. I think they're going to be able to win. Although Northern Illinois, don't count them out. They definitely have some pieces to be able to make it competitive, but the Eagles and Chestnut Hill will still win. And then Holy Cross is an FCS level team that I believe will be no match for Boston College. So the Eagles, I believe, will be starting 2-0 this season. However, you got a very tricky game coming up in week 3 against Florida State that I just don't think you are going to win. I think Florida State is a very talented team this year, as do many. They got a great quarterback, a Heisman contender in Jordan Travis. He's got a lot of nice weapons offensively, especially in the wide receiver room. That's got a lot of big bodies. I don't think there's a wide receiver there that's under 6 foot. You added some nice transfers on the offensive end, including Keon Coleman, and defensively as well. Fentrell Cypress and others are going to be boosting what's already a very versatile defense. Florida State's got all the pieces that needs to be an ACC contender, to be a college football playoff contender, possibly to be a national title contender as well. Really like with this Florida State team it has. Don't see Boston College matching up. And I also do not see you going on the road and beating Louisville. Jeff Brom comes into his alma mater and hometown team, brings a familiar face over to replace Malik Cunningham and Jack Plummer, who was an old quarterback of his over in West Lafayette at Purdue. A lot of other transfers coming into that program. I think like 25 transfers or something like that coming into that Louisville program. They got some good pieces offensively, defensively. Definitely a sleeper team in the ACC, and one I see beating Boston College this season. However, the Eagles will not fall below 500, as I do believe you will beat the Virginia Cavaliers, and it's going to be a struggle for the Cavaliers this year. They are losing a lot of talent to the NFL, a lot to the transfer portal, including their quarterback in Brennan Armstrong, including a lot of other pieces. Fentrell Cypress, as mentioned, is going off to Florida State. Really good defensive back for them. But it's also going to be an emotional season for this Virginia team. If you guys know the story of what happened at that university, just the tragic shooting within that football program that killed a lot of football players. Hearts, thoughts go out to the Virginia family, to the state, to the university. I'll talk about it more when I get to that Virginia video. But as it relates to football, I do believe Boston College will be beating that team. No easy way to transition for that, but then you got to go on the road and play Army. And I think this is going to be a game that sneaks up on Boston College. Army is always a very physical team, offensively, defensively, again, with that triple option style. They've got some good pieces offensively that I think will make this Boston College defense a little confused. And then defensively as well, I think Army definitely has what it takes to be able to slow down this Boston College team, not to mention it's a road game for the Eagles here. Sorry to all the fans in Chestnut Hill, but I got a little bit of an upset pulling off right here. I do believe Boston College will lose that game, and Army will be victorious, leaving Boston College down to 500 right before their bye week, which cuts their season in half. Then you got to go on the road and play Georgia Tech, another game that I think maybe surprises these Boston College fans, and Georgia Tech will be able to win that game. Now, I know you're losing Jeff Sims and a lot of very other talented pieces, but there are a lot of very nice transfers coming into that program. You got a new head coach there in Brent Key. That's a Georgia Tech team that, albeit maybe give it a couple of years, if not this year, can definitely surprise some people, especially, again, this season in the ACC. I think Boston College goes on the road and, again, maybe gets a little surprise here, but Georgia Tech going to be able to win that game, in my opinion. However, I do think Boston College will stop this losing streak at 2, be able to beat the UConn Huskies. UConn's the team that I would not count out either. That's going to be a very competitive team this year. Taquan Roberson never really got a chance to play. He's a former Penn State transfer, was hurt way early in the year. You had to have a freshman, I believe, by the name of Zion Franklin come into that program. But all in all, Jim Mora's group, a very good football team last year. I think they'll be another good football team again this year. They'll keep this game competitive, but Boston College will roll away with the win. But sadly, I believe Boston College will be back in the loss column with a loss here to the Syracuse Orange. This is a game here where I just like Syracuse better. I do think they are the better team. I think they got some really nice pieces defensively and offensively. I think they're going to be a little too much for this Boston College defense. Syracuse with Garrett Schrader, Oronde Gadsden, some of the other weapons they have over there, I think will make too many plays. And the Dome, especially on weekdays, not very kind to a lot of people. At least as of late, just talked to the Clemson Tigers about that. Just poking fun, nothing serious. But Syracuse is going to be able to win that game against Boston College. However, I do believe the Eagles will bounce back, and I think they're going to be able to win this game here against the Virginia Tech Hokies. Virginia Tech, much like their in-state counterparts, I think they're going to have another struggle year this year, just not super confident in what that team has, much like with the University of Virginia. There are a lot of pieces leaving that team as well. I think it's going to be another struggling year for this Virginia Tech program. I think Boston College will be able to win that game there. Then you got to go on the road. You play a Pitt team here. I think that definitely could surprise some people. The expectation is around 6-6, 7-5, which is what I have them as. But when you take a look at that team, you got Phil Jurkovec. Hey, Boston College's former quarterback. Sorry, I think you're going to lose to your former counterpart there. Of course, if he can end up staying healthy, he's got a lot of nice weapons there. Defensively, a lot of key contributors gone, but still some good talent there. I think they'll be able to slow down the Eagles' defense. And offensively, I think Phil Jurkovec going to be motivated to beat his former team on the road. Pitt's very well coached. I think they'll be able to win the game. And then I got Boston College losing to Miami. Miami's going to be another pretty interesting team this year. They came off a very down, disappointing year last year, but Tyler Van Dyke is coming back. He's a pretty good quarterback. They got a new offensive coordinator to pair him with. Some good weapons, especially in that wide receiver room. A lot of transfers coming in. Defensively, some good talent. Like Miami this year, I don't think Boston College will beat them. So, Eagles fans, I got you sitting at 5-7. Now, it would not shock me to see this game make a bowl game at all. I definitely think they got the talent to. There are a lot of winnable games on this schedule. I just think it's going to be another struggle year for Jeff Hafley, trying to find that 6th win. Ultimately, it could see him out the door looking for a new job. But that's going to do it for my thoughts on the Eagles. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.